The day Hannah stood in front of the full-length mirror, dressed in a simple white gown that she had dreamed of wearing since childhood, she felt a flicker of hope. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, the day she would become someone's wife. But as she turned to face the small crowd gathered in the church hall, that hope was immediately shattered. The whispers began first, soft and cruel, then grew louder. Comments about her size, about how she didn't fit the image of a bride, filled the room like daggers slicing through her heart. The man she had loved for years, Matthew, looked away, ashamed or uninterested, she wasn't sure which. And just like that, Hannah, who had always been proud of her kindness and unwavering spirit, was left humiliated and heartbroken on the altar of someone else's shallow expectations. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness and second chances, make sure to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Let's spread the warmth of human compassion together. Hannah left the church that day in tears, her veil dragging along the polished wooden floor, a symbol of dreams broken not by fate, but by the cruelty of judgment. She had always been a gentle soul, overweight since childhood, but never someone who let her size define her spirit. Working at a small bakery in Charleston, South Carolina, she had spent her days bringing warmth and sweetness to others, yet no one seemed to notice the beauty of her heart. The rejection from Matthew wasn't just a personal heartbreak, it was a message from the world that she was unworthy, unlovable, and invisible. Her friends tried to console her, but Hannah withdrew into herself. Nights were the hardest. She would sit by the window of her tiny apartment, staring at the streetlights and wondering if she would ever be seen for who she truly was. Bills piled up, the bakery's hours were grueling, and the weight of loneliness pressed down on her like a heavy blanket she couldn't shake off. In those quiet moments, she would tell herself that love was not for her, that perhaps she was meant to live a life of giving without receiving. But life has a way of surprising those who have the courage to survive its harshest blows. One rainy afternoon, while Hannah was delivering a tray of cupcakes to a local school, she noticed a small boy struggling to hold a soccer ball in the pouring rain. Without thinking, she ran to help him, her apron already soaked and her hair plastered to her forehead. The boy looked up at her with wide, grateful eyes and hugged the ball to his chest. "Thanks, ma'am," he said shyly. At that moment, Hannah felt a flicker of warmth inside her, a reminder that even when the world turns its back, small acts of kindness can ripple back in the most unexpected ways. It was that small act of generosity that led her to cross paths with Thomas, a single dad who had recently moved to Charleston with his young son, Liam. Thomas was a man marked by quiet grief. He had lost his wife to illness 3 years earlier and had been raising Liam on his own, struggling to balance work and fatherhood. Their first meeting was accidental but unforgettable. Hannah had tripped over a curb while rushing to deliver a cake to Thomas's home, and he had caught her just in time, steadying her in the rain. Both laughed nervously, but there was something unspoken in that brief moment, a recognition of mutual understanding in silent pain. Thomas and Hannah began to see each other more often. He would stop by the bakery to pick up cupcakes for Liam, always offering a warm smile that made Hannah's heart flutter in ways she hadn't felt in years. They spoke of small things at first, the weather, the joy of baking, Liam's love for superhero cartoons, but slowly, deeper conversations unfolded. Hannah found herself sharing her heartbreak, the sting of being rejected for something so superficial, and Thomas listened without judgment, his eyes filled with empathy rather than pity. One Saturday, Thomas invited Hannah to a picnic at the nearby park. Liam ran ahead, chasing a kite, while Hannah and Thomas sat on a blanket under a large oak tree. For the first time in years, Hannah felt a lightness in her chest, a feeling she had thought was forever lost. Thomas looked at her with a quiet intensity, his hand brushing against hers, and said something she would never forget, "You're beautiful, Hannah. Not because of what anyone else thinks, but because of who you are. And I would be honored if you let us into your life." Hannah's eyes filled with tears, not because she didn't believe him, but because she had almost forgotten that words like that could exist in the real world, that someone could see her worth without reservations. Over the next few months, their bond deepened. Thomas and Liam became her family, filling the empty spaces in her heart with love, laughter, and a sense of belonging she had thought she would never feel again. Then came the day Thomas did the unthinkable. He organized a small gathering at the bakery, inviting friends, neighbors, and even the local news. Hannah arrived, confused and nervous, only to find the room decorated with flowers and soft candlelight. Thomas stood at the front, holding Liam's hand, his eyes never leaving hers. "Hannah," he said, his voice steady but full of emotion, "you've shown me what it means to love without conditions. You've loved us with everything you have, and now I want to spend the rest of my life showing you how cherished you truly are. Will you marry me?" The room held its breath as Hannah felt the weight of every painful rejection she had ever endured lift from her shoulders. Tears streamed down her face, not of sorrow, but of overwhelming joy. She nodded, unable to speak, and the applause that followed was more than celebration, it was vindication, proof that true love never looks at a number on a scale, that worth is measured by heart, courage, and kindness, not appearance. Hannah's story quickly spread through the community, inspiring others who had faced similar cruelty and rejection. People who had felt unseen began to realize that love could arrive in the most unexpected ways, and that sometimes, the people who truly matter are those who recognize your soul before your surface. Hannah, once abandoned on the altar of someone else's superficiality, now stood embraced by a love that was unconditional, tender, and enduring. As she held Liam close and watched Thomas brush a stray lock of hair from her face, Hannah realized that life's harshest moments were sometimes a prelude to the greatest blessings. She had been rejected, humiliated, and heartbroken, but she had also been strong, resilient, and unyielding. And in the end, her courage had brought her not just love, but a family she had never dared to dream of. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. And if you can, comment below about someone in your life who has shown you unconditional love. It's those stories that keep us believing in miracles. Hannah's journey reminds us all that true love doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't care about size, wealth, or appearances. It sees the heart, embraces the soul, and chooses to stay, even when the world looks away. And sometimes, just sometimes, a single act of courage or kindness can change everything, turning heartbreak into hope, and rejection into a life overflowing with love.